Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, non-classics. This is episode number 2675 and Doubleshot number 2569. Now, first up, we're discussing the opening story, which is collecting a trade. By the way, we're collecting the opening story of Batman Legends of Dark Knight, which is collecting the trade known as Batman Shaman. The opening 5 issues of the series. Written by the late Denny O'Neil, art by Ed Hannigan. The word Beatty on the book is actually John Beatty as inker. Now, I did hear the reason why this book exists. Now, this book was launched in 1989. What Batman thing came out in 1989 was so big? The Batman movie. Starring Michael Keaton as Batman and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And this is apparently I heard this was promoted as the first new Batman #1 since the original Batman #1 released in 1940. So this is mostly put this story Shaman. It's kind of a story arc. I've heard one person describe it as basically stuff Batman was up to when he was not on screen during the events of the classic story Batman Year One. It's mostly put Bruce Wayne going to Alaska, finds out about this Eskimo culture, this tribe, hears a story about a bat, and then he's told, don't tell anybody about this, and he proceeds to tell some people on a plane. And apparently, this sparks something that nearly inadvertently kills a whole tribe, just because they're exposed to real people, which is kind of weird. And the whole thing is like this serial killer using this mask to kill people. Eventually, Batman receives the mask, return to people, and the tribe is virtually destroyed because of him inadvertently telling somebody, just telling some random guy about the tribe. Well, most people about the legend. And he even suggests basically the woman he kind of has a thing for, which I think is with the chief's daughter, and she turns him down. And by the way, except for Bruce Wayne and probably Alfred, like, no one else in the story appears ever again. But for the open story, it's actually pretty interesting what it is. So here's something quite shocking about this story arc. There's a trade that collects. I've heard it's out of print, and the fact is very difficult to get your hands on it. I've looked up to get this damn thing. It is so freaking hard. Like, apparently DC's embarrassed by this storyline. Like, it's not Denny O'Neil. No. The crazy thing to know. Excuse me. Mostly put the reason why DC doesn't want to do new printing of this one, because I think they're embarrassed by how Eskimos are portrayed in the story. That's kind of a rumor, the reason why we don't see new printing of this book, but it's actually a really good story. It's a good side piece to basically Batman Year One. It takes place during the main story, and I might give roughly a 9 out of 10. Next up, oh boy, we're here discussing the final issues of Batman Gotham Knights. By the way, Legends of Dark Knight is replacing this book, and you have already reviewed it already, but I really want to get that opening story out of the way first, because I've already reviewed the next 3 story arcs, because when the book started, it was 5 issue story arcs, and then afterwards became 3 or like 1-ish. Depends on what basically writers read the book. Now, there will be some skipping related to that series, because I've used some issues already, so. But in case of these final issues for Batman Gotham Knights. By the way, the cover, the logo has changed, and that may not for the rest of the series. And Hush is the main villain of the series. Yes, Hush, Thomas Elliot. Now, some of you might be thinking, is this series still bad? Yes. Like, oh my gosh, the series is still so bad. Like, here's kind of what happens over the course of these series. Like, what villain shows up in here aside from Hush? We still have Ages Liberman on the... Now, the style of the cover, I think they started doing that with the War Game stuff, and they just stopped. They just didn't stop. It was like the rest of the series. It also involves Clayface in this storyline of Poison Ivy and Prometheus. They call it Prometheus the Third. Yeah. The imposter Prometheus. He got killed off in 2009. And here's the thing. Originally, I think that Age Limit probably wanted this to be Prometheus. But James Gunn must have retconned this was actually not Prometheus. This actually was an imposter. Yeah, and Clayface basically is in this story too. This is Jonathan Williams, who only exists, who actually, well, he actually was first created by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee during the events of Batman Hush, who was in that storyline. And then he returns for these issues here, issue 16, and he pops up for the last few issues of the book. And that's pretty much it for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of it's basically all about Poison Ivy in these issues here. Yes, Poison Ivy. In some weird attires. It's all about basically how basically her backstory, kind of. But it most focuses on her, and it's basically about Hush's basic control over her. That's kind of the way the story is about human nature. When is the story wrapped up? What issue number 65? 60 I've already discussed already, but then skipping straight to 67. 68 actually was in a Batman. Yeah, so that was in a Clayface trade. Yep. So in the case of 6-7, it's a standalone issue, all about basically Hush trying to get involved with basically this producer. Yeah, it's not much this issue per se, not really, no. And then skipping over the next 4 issues. Going straight to the last 3 issues of the series. And this issue is actually probably the best issue because it's got good artwork. It's not bad per se. It's probably by far the best written issue of the series. And then we have to have Joker back in the story. He's back here for the last couple issues of the series, and that's it. Yeah, and apparently the storyline for the series wasn't finished. So Paul Dini decided to follow this up in Hush Return in Heart of Hush, which is a much better story arc than this is. My gosh. If you look at basically all these remaining issues of the series, I would say 60 to 65 is okay. 67 is actually pretty good because it doesn't involve Hush. And then we have the last few issues which are okay. But wow. The series went downhill once they changed direction for the series. The first 49 issues had some really good content there. One of the best things about those issues, during the later half of the run, we actually found who Bane's father is. Who is King Cobra, of course. Yes. But my gosh, these last 25 issues, a lot of it is pretty bad. And some were tie-ins to war games. A crossover was stretched out for no reason. And by the way, here's a little fun fact about this series. Did you know that Batman Gotham Knights, for this series, that War Games was the only crossover, one of 2 technically, that had tie-ins to? You have Villains United. But, nope. They kept this book away from those other stuff per se. But my gosh. It's definitely improvement of Hush Returns, I gotta admit that much. Poison Ivy was quite interesting part of this. I'm gonna give the book roughly a 6 out of 10 because it's much improvement over Hush Returns. Yes. But final thoughts on Gotham Knights. First 14 issues are really good. 50 to 74 hit a lot of it's very much a miss. Hush Returns. Nothing more than a piece of garbage of a story arc. The only thing good about that storyline is the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous. It's just the story is bad. Oh my gosh, the story is so bad. And then we have Prometheus in here. Like, what? Yeah, and this storyline felt as though, like, part of the time it seemed like the editor was asleep at the wheel, not noticing stuff, but should be drawn properly. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button. Now, before I talk about the next video, which will be My Hero Academia, Legends Dark Knight will be replacing this book with Showcase Presents. Like I mentioned, there'll be some skipping. The first issues I'm skipping over is basically going to be issues 6 to 20, because I reviewed those already in 3 separate trades. Prey, Gothic, and Venom. I reviewed those all already. I'm also skipping over issues 27 to 30. 27 because it was collected in a trade for one of the Batman, either was Cape Crusader or Dark Knight Detective, and the other 3 issues were Legends Dark Knight by Matt Wagner. There's some other issues I was skipping, but yeah, we'll get to them, right? So next up, My Hero Academia. Okay, next view. Bye.